things I often share with my clients, and when I'm sharing in lectures and classes, I like to share how humble really it is to walk the path, of the spiritual path, and in a sense to name that as our destiny. What I always love to share is that walking this path is always imbued with a kind of suffering or a kind of pain, as is all humanity, encompassed in this great world relationship that has its joys and sufferings. And so I always like to share that in the beginning of sharing my story, because I, like so many, had a traumatic birth experience. And it was in that birth experience, I'm sure intra-utero, and then after my birth, where I experienced great trauma. And, many years later, in my young adolescence, experienced, emotional, you might say, dissonance from the early utero and early life experiences. I was very, very early brought into out-of-body experiences. And the reason I share at the beginning how humble the work is because it really wasn't fun. It wasn't easy. And from age 5 onward, I was being lifted out of my body, and I had many opportunities, really, to move beyond the limitations of time and space, and to see my own body lying there on the bed, and to be flying around and seeing things that in the morning would, in a sense, verify that, I had seen these things. And so I would ask as a child, what's happening? This is frightening. And nobody really knew. And, of course, it's just a dream. Well, in my life, I knew by the time I was 18 that I needed to understand this because it was difficult. It was also somewhat extraordinary because, again, like so many of our listeners, I was a very sensitive person, always have been. You might say blessed and unblessed with a very sensitive body. And so I knew that I wanted to learn. I needed to find out what was happening. I found, luckily, the works of Robert Monroe in 1971. His book had just come out, Journeys Out of the Body. And it was a gift, really, for me to discover the work of Robert Monroe, and not only the work with out-of-body experiences, but with dolphins, and his understanding of the experiences of the kind of unbound experience we have, where we move beyond, as I mentioned, time and space. And it was there that I began really the path. And from there, many, many things unfolded. I moved to the Hawaiian Islands, where I had extraordinary experiences with flowers and nature. It's always been, in a sense, my respite and my place of peace. And I was given the gift to see, and again, I say this with humble appreciation to nature for allowing me to see the vibration of nature. I was transported and saw that we are all light, and everything is a very quick atomic world, and I could put my hand through the plant, and it was a remarkable experience. And I want to add that I've never taken drugs for that very reason, because I knew my body and my mind was so sensitive that it would probably pretty much blow me off the planet. So this was not drug-induced. I later, the next day, was given the book, The Findhorn, The Magic of Findhorn, and it was a serendipitous and synchronistic experience to receive the book and learn about the co-creative relationship between humanity and nature that were being experimented with and worked with in Scotland, northern Scotland. And I said to myself, I'd love to go there. I probably never will. It's Scotland. I'm in Hawaii. I'm a meager vegetarian cook at a little restaurant. But lo and behold, and it's another long story, and I won't go into the details, but it was magical. I was, within 2 weeks, I was on my way to northern Scotland with a personal invitation from the founder, Peter Caddy, with a wonderful friend, Christopher Conley, who still remains, well, as all Fin-Torn friends remain our dearest friends for life, and found myself immersed in kindred territory, kindred spirits, kindred friends. And it was from that age, 21, 22, that I began my serious work and study and research into, you might say, mysticism, the works of Madame Blavatsky, Carl Jung, Joseph Campbell, all the greats, all the teachers, Edward Bach, learning flower essences, astrology, tarot, birthing daughters, marriages, life, a path, however, that remained true and steady with the intention to ground in this body and to find my way into service in the best way I could. And again, just to briefly state, with this, it's always, I feel grateful and so very lucky that I was able to discover my path and to have a commitment to this destiny, because quite honestly, I don't think, being such a sensitive person, that I would have had a very easy time on earth.